side, Chloe's back on another one. She's setting this wave up, fading it to the right, hoping that left sets up in front of her. You can see the white water in the face of the wave, so not so sure how well this wave is going to continue to set up for her. We know that as the tide fills in, it might look like a closeout and turn into opening up into the channel. That wave just doesn't do it, and now...
Looked like she decided to try and get out. I might see a paddle battle here. I tell you what, Justine is a ferocious paddler. It looked like she just decided to get out, didn't she, before she crossed past the French woman?
Yeah, and I think she had enough sightline that she realized it was not going to back off and open up in the channel like her previous wave did. So getting out quick and maybe getting that priority out the back will be a strong position for her to have. 24 minutes left. It's nice to have a half-hour semifinal. Let's look at the start of it again. Quick turn, sets it up, fades right as she waits for it to set up. And it was a good plan, but unfortunately that we know that wave just never really gave her much more than that quick 5 that's right there, and then it was just white water in front of her for the rest of it. So we're still waiting on that score for Justine Dupont's first real wave. She had a quick throwaway wave, a quick in and out at the start of the heat, and her first wave comes in at a 4.57. Let's take a look at it again. Quick nose ride there, quick footwork, big sweeping turn around. Let's see her get it to the nose again. Gets that 5 right there. Gets again another 5. I like the way she's wrapped those toes out. Got a little bog right there, but recovers very, very nicely. Swings it around, and it turns out that right opened up just a little bit for her. Gives her a really nice way to put a finish on that wave. So that was a 4.57 for Justine Dupont.
Well, we talked about yesterday how comfortable she is on the sort of back end of the board, on the tail, dealing with power. That's not an issue. Chloe, very much an all-rounded surfer. We've got a bit of a range in size out here. Even from the takeoff peak, it's almost kind of like 2 to 6 foot, which feels like a weird thing to say, but we've got waves of real different height breaking in more or less the same spot.
And it's going to be interesting to see, you know, the strategy of choosing a wave here. Sometimes the biggest wave that's coming in a set will not have the best shape, especially until the tide really fills in. So looking at a 4-foot wave instead of a 6-foot wave might be the call for higher scores.
Couple of numbers in, we can give you a situation, but Justine just a 0.5 for her first wave, so not really a legit situation, but nevertheless at the moment she's looking for 7.51. I think the only real numbers in her mind, she'll be thinking about excellent range scores. She knows she'll need to be her absolute best here. She doesn't mind being up against it in a heat. She relished the challenge that's been laid before her. We have seen, of course, Chloe very much up for competing and the desire, everything's there. The whole act seems very polished this year. We had her in the booth 2 days ago and she's so mature and just a kind of global vision on the whole thing. She seems like all the ingredients are in place for her.
You know, on dry land she has a lovely kind spirit. When you're on a free surf with her, she's always got a smile on her face, but there is a game face when the heat starts, and she is just a very solid competitor, and it's fun to see her apply all that breadth of knowledge. I mean, the conditions here have changed so rapidly throughout the day with the tide. It's just fantastic to watch them adapt as we watch Justine Dupont go right to the nose, get a long hang 5, gets a nice cut back right there. She's just kind of setting it up, waiting for the wave to do something in front of her. Another nice step, doesn't rush that nose ride. Again, takes a nice clean little extra step out there, but unfortunately runs that out onto the shoulder and the nose just sinks underneath her.
Looking to back herself up there, get rid of that 0.5. Let's see how she goes compared to a 4.67. Justine just trying to put a couple of numbers on the board and also just find some opportunity, get some familiarity with this line. She did have a free surf. She got out of the water about an hour ago. And there are some absolute bombing sets. Since that first one, we haven't seen sets of that magnitude. And this was a kind of an in-between wave for Justine.
She's just setting it up, you know, trying to see what that wave is going to give her a chance to do. And I really like the way she paused in her footwork right there so she could get a clean little step to the nose. And again, she has such a breadth of knowledge in big waves, you know, short boards, everything that she rides. And she's really refining her longboard technique. And I thought that was a really nice subtlety to take that extra time to put a proper step in there.
Yeah, because former championship surfer on shortboards, injury cut her season short. Unfortunately, she had quite a nasty wrist injury that saw her out the water and cost her a qualification. Now been focusing on the big waves in recent years down the coast at Nazaré in Portugal. And while we just wait for that last number to lock in, we're going to go down and hear from Shannon down the beach.
You're coming up later on in the semifinals, but you have a fellow French teammate, kind of teammate in the lineup, Justine. Have you been working with her a little bit along the sidelines? We know she's a phenomenal longboarder, but doesn't compete too much. Any info you shared with her before the semis?
Yeah, Justine is definitely a water woman. She does everything. She actually surfs every kind of boards, and yeah, no, she competed today here in Galicia because it's close to home, and she loves to compete. So yeah, she comes to us. We try to help us as much as we could, but depending of her needs, because she's really like managing herself pretty well. So it's just like depending of what she needs, she comes, and we're here for her definitely.
Awesome. And you got a semi coming up. How do you feel going into today?
Good, definitely good. Waves should be good. The tide is pushing up, and
so it's gonna be a good day. Back to you guys.
3, 1, 2, 3. He's going to be deadly down here.
Looking very strong as the conditions get larger and more powerful. Edward is definitely a solid threat for this whole thing. Let's take a look at a wave that ran for Chloe Calmon during that interview.
Here goes Chloe, up to the nose, out the back, and a little bit of a softer section as she'll check back with the rail, just put herself a little bit behind now, but more wall in front as she kind of hits the gas, and then a little straighten out.
You couldn't see in the camera shot there, but I was watching with the naked eye here, and if that was a risky move to cut back, but if she had held the line and maybe went back to the nose, she would have reached over into the next section. But that's the thing with the beach here. It's hard to see those sections and how they're going to play out.
And, it'll be interesting to watch whether she's going to be able to figure that out. And I think now she has. She's like, okay, that cutback puts me behind the section, but look at her look at it. She's like, okay, that's where I want to go. When we were originally looking at that, you saw how far on the shoulder she was, and I'm like, why is she so far out of the pocket? And I think she sensed that thing might be running away from her. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. She scored that first wave, that opening wave of the heat, and it was almost just by being in the perfect spot on their way out as the hooter went off. So.
Well, she gets a 5 for that last effort, so not a bad number at all for that wave. It was less than half the length of her opening wave. Of course, that was a 9.17. So in terms of scoreboard pressure, at the moment, 17:15 on the clock. It's a daunting task for Justine Dupont of France. 9.5, her requirement in one wave. Should be certainly thinking about getting a couple of waves, just changing both of her scores. As you're watching that wide angle here, it's quite hard to appreciate some of the kind of dynamic energy out in the lineup. A lot of sweep, pushing our surfers around in this lineup.
It is such a big playing field. I mean, we've watched this event unfold, starting out some in the mornings by the rocks on the very eastern end of this bay, and now they're almost past the midpoint heading west in the bay. It's just so interesting and enticing to want to go surf this place because it has such great personalities.
Second semi-final, Rachel Tilley, former world champ.
Very strong. I mean, Rachel versus Honolulu Blomfield, that is going to be a fantastic semi-final. I mean, they're all great. I mean, there's, I think the all 8 competitors in the semis right now are just super exciting.
Contrast and approach as well between Rachel and Honolulu?
Actually more similar than different, which is why it's going to be a real good battle. Both regular foots, both used to power.
Might come more down to waves.
Wave selection is going to be a huge part of it, and just maybe who's got the better rhythm today.
In terms of the kind of competitiveness, maybe Rachel a little bit more competitively dialed in?
I think Rachel has more of the eye of the tiger in the time that I've seen her. She really grew up through the NSSA, through the contest machine in the United States. She's matured. She's much older now. I think she's finally over 20, so maybe that's backed off a little bit. But the fact that she lives in Australia now, which is known to be the most competitive water in the world, I think she still has all of it.
That's your heat leader on the shot there, just taking stock of her situation. She's in a real healthy position this one. Doesn't get much better than open up your semi-final with a 9, and her lead's pretty solid at the moment.
Yeah, you can guarantee that Rachel's watching this heat closely because Rachel finished, she had a strong finish in Noosa, and basically we've got Quintal and Chloe. If they do get through and they get into the final, and in fact if they win, they're sitting really pretty in this title race.
and there's a whole bunch of people sitting right behind him, ready to take him out. And that's what's so great about having, you know, the multiple event tour that we have this year. You really just can't be comfortable. I mean, yes, 2 wins in a row puts you in a great place, but it's not an insurmountable lead.
Of course, the other cool thing about having the New York event coming up so close in quick succession, Noosa feels like quite a long time ago, and I know that our surfers get to process after that, maybe do other things in their life, and then it's the long process of getting ready and building up to this event in terms of boards and preparation, and obviously their surfing. We're going to go straight into the next event, almost like carry over this energy. It's going to be really cool to see how that plays out.
And have you been talking about the forecast? Has that already come up? I've been so tuned in on what's happening on the beach, I haven't got to hear the broadcast, but Wingnut, have you seen the forecast?
I haven't looked at it specifically, but I know the big story is the hurricane that has a target on the east coast of the United States.
Yeah, update this morning is that it looks like as of this morning, it's going to sort of track right off the coast and send waves, really good waves, our way to New York.
And speaking of really good waves, it looks like Chloe Calmon has found another one that swung right into her lap. Big carving turn again, nice and clean style there. Really nice pivot footwork there. See how well that board spun around right underneath her. Great, quick right to the nose, and then she's out. Little uncharacteristic there, and Justine Dupont looking to take advantage of the opportunity, but Justine goes down as well. So maybe not as big a penalty for Chloe Calmon as it could have been if Justine's wave had connected all the way through.
Yeah, well, the good news is for Justine that she should be able to get out the back and control the peak again with priority. The bad news is that was a great looking section there for her.
Yeah.
A really nice looking section. She was locked on that 5. It was kind of a steep, critical part. Her rail engaged in that pocket. And just a mistake from her. She'll go down. 13 minutes remaining. And I'm not sure scores will change dramatically after that exchange. We're going to have a similar requirement. Justine finds herself already not quite all the way back where she was sitting before, but most of the way back out there. She'll just look at these long lefts. It's definitely the pick of proceedings at the moment. We've seen that mainly our kind of high tide sandbars completely dry about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
It could have been standing out there in ankle deep water, for sure, exactly where the athletes are right now. That's what it's such a, you know, coming from the west coast of the United States where a massive tide change will be 7 feet at the most. Here it's virtually double that, and sometimes during the year it's almost triple. So just amazing to watch that. So let's go back to what Devin was talking about with the forecast for New York. So that hurricane track looks like it's shifting.
Yeah, it was going to go landfall, and the update from Justin Quintal, who's, you know, essentially a hurricane chaser, if there is such a thing.
A chaser, and also worried about his new house, whether it was going to hit his house.
Yeah, and, you know, we're always cheering for those things to miss land for obvious reasons, but as surfers, we want it, you know, a good distance out there because it's going to send waves our way. It's a Cat 4, 150 mile an hour winds. If it goes on the track that we're on, we could have 2 days of insane waves, like really big, basically big barrel fest is what we're looking at.
Which is what longboarders are usually looking for, is giant beach break barrels.
If you're in Puerto, yes. You are.
It will be very interesting to watch as this forecast unfolds for New York. As the drone is giving us a nice shot, you see that beautiful green board going down the beach? I think we know who that is. That is the green board of Honolulu Blumfield. All right, so score came in for Chloe Calmon, only a 3.63, so not going into her score line as we see another, looking at that wave, Justine with a little, you know, trying to fade right, go left.
Yeah, she had a quick one then, and a quick in and out, Justine. It's not really been a heat so far. She's been a bit scrappy. She's got that 4.67 on her second wave, and since then she's had a bunch of waves that haven't really worked out for her. I wonder if she's just a little bit baffled. She'll be certainly a little bit rattled from that 9-point ride, but she just needs to find a decent wave, finish off, and get herself a little bit closer. Doesn't need to maybe get that score with her next wave, but just put herself back in contention.
Right. I mean, it's difficult. She's had a couple of waves that first wave, you know, didn't quite connect all the way through for her, and then, you know, the couple of falls. It's just not what you need. So wait out there, be patient, but Chloe's got priority right now, which gives her kind of a chance to control. As we're down to, you know, 10 minutes left in this heat, we'll see how consistent. Now, this is more of a short interval swell that's coming here, and so that tends to have very consistent sets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what we get in the final 10 minutes of this one. And it's all about just playing those cards, picking the right ways, that selection. A little bit of luck involved as well, if we're being honest. You can't always tell what these waves are going to do on the outside, but you back yourself with your preparation. We're kind of studying the sets. And we just saw on a drone shot before there, speaking of studying the sets, that cool little viewing area on the grass down here. Bunch of people watching. We've got our men's and women's QS 10,000 competitors. They're all here as well, checking things out. It's really cool to almost kind of like have the whole tribe here, kind of vibing on it, watching the longboarding. It's got a real kind of festival feel to this event.
And it's a great surf community around here. There's so many surfers and kids on skates. I mean, it's a great area, and you can feel the surf energy here. As we're getting a good look at the crowd on the grassy knoll here, as it were, watching this event. Yeah, there it is. Thanks for coming and joining us out here. Quick look back outside. Nice long lull, which is working to Chloe's benefit and putting a little bit of additional pressure on Justine.
Yeah, she won't mind that one bit, the Brazilian. If it all goes flat now, she'll be fine. If it's bombing closeout sets out the back, she won't mind that either, because it's all just eating up the clock. And she will be very much buoyed in terms of confidence. And again, if you think about energy, without getting ahead of ourselves, but she almost had this heat kind of done from the opening minute. And that just also puts her in a beautiful place. She served first, so she'll have the longer gap before the final, assuming she gets there. And by the time she does, it just feels like energetically, sometimes the universe, the cosmos, sort of aligns for you. She looks like she's on a pretty good track down here. She's
got a pretty good rhythm going, that's for sure. She's got priority, and you can see her paddling out to that peak. Let's see if she's going to use it. No, she's just going to let it go. And it looks like a pretty wise choice. You see how that backed off? I mean, the tide is flooding in, and it really changes this break dramatically, even in the course of a half hour.
Well, we definitely won't be counting out Justine Dupont. She's done things in the ocean that are sort of just frightening to watch through your computer screen or your phone. So she does have a very deep understanding. She'll back herself with the physical fitness as well. She's got under 8 minutes now. She needs a couple of waves, basically, to get herself back in this one. And we're going to go down here from Shannon Hughes, who's standing by in the surface area.
And I'm down right in the mix of the crew with Kendra Jordan, competitor on the women's side of the draw, and in the lineup. Chloe got that 917 to open up. Kendra, how do you think she's feeling?
I think she's feeling great. I think her confidence is up. Super stoked for her. What a way to kick off a heat in a semifinal.
Yeah, amazing. And what's been going on behind the scenes for her this week? Who's kind of in her camp and cheering her on?
Yeah, we're staying in a big house, multicultural. There's people from all over the world with us, lots of languages. We're all just laughing and dancing and rewatching heats and talking and just really trying to have fun and enjoy Spain and seeing the sights when we have some time. We're sitting on the beach and eating nice. So just low pressure.
Stoked. Well, it sounds like it's put Chloe in a really good space. She's looking red hot in the semifinals so far. We'll go back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Shannon. So cool to get insights as well from some of the other competitors. I think one of the, maybe I don't know, contrast too much with the other tours, but definitely does have that kind of family vibe on tour as well. People staying together, and it's not so much kind of every surfer out for themselves. Definitely that kind of communal spirit, which is what surfing's all about, right?
Well, and I think especially in the longboard world, let's take a quick look back as Chloe Calmon has just picked off another nice wave. That was a real beautiful drop knee turn, put her back in position. Look how she's letting that board run, letting the natural speed of that long rail line take her down the face of that wave. She's really found another and decides to kick out as opposed to take the risk of bringing it back in. So a good one there for Chloe. But yes, the longboard community, when you're traveling in this kind of, broad across the world thing, it's nice to group together, and it's fun to see how many different people from around the world will share a space.
Yeah, we had some of the QS surfers that are going to be starting tomorrow. Women starts tomorrow and men's. It's a 10,000 event. They were really impressed. Like, wow, the longboard crew is pretty cruisy and pretty cool. It's like, yeah, for the most part, we all get along. There's little rivalries, and they take it seriously, but it's a pretty small crew.
And I think part of the whole, longboard community, and we tend to hang out at the beach a little bit longer throughout the day. The equipment allows us to surf, the low tide, the high tide, the onshore wind. We go through the bump. We're more about the whole beach day. So it's a longer.
And Wingnut, in that surfing family, would you have yourself down as kind of like the cool uncle at the wedding that's got the dance moves, or is that where you fit in?
Or bad grandpa, depending on how you want to look at it. Sure, thanks for that. Let's look at Chloe's wave again there. Nice nose right at the beginning. And I think she comes in with a really smooth, big, giant wrapping around roundhouse turn there. Just smooth and letting the rail line, letting the speed of that board's long rail carry her through that section. She's going to set it up, not rush it right there, and decides just to come out instead of like take a chance. We've seen a lot of surfers not complete their waves because they go for a last big move and just get blown apart. So nice, smart surfing on Chloe's part there.
She didn't have enough trim speed to do that. I mean, it would have been cool to see her go for it, but I think she just got bounced right off.
And recognizing that and making the smart choice. I'm going into that too slowly and just to get out.
Yeah.
Scoreboard-wise, we're unchanged. It comes in as a 4-9, just under her backup of 5. And the situation is getting more and more dire now. By the second for our French surfer Dupont. She's still looking for 9.5. That's her on the drone there. She's in blue. So matching that up with a blue wetsuit. Let's check out the story of this first semi-final. We waited a couple of hours down here, just waiting for this tide to fill in. Great choice by our organising committee. And we opened up with an absolutely exceptional ride for a 917.
And just in the right place at the right time when this heat started, Chloe just found the perfect wave to showcase her skills. Look at the nose ride, look at the footwork, look how calm and smooth she is at that one little cut back there. But she stayed composed and had a great execution of this wave. Nice footwork, nice flow, and really finishes it this first wave super clean. And what a great way to start a semifinal heat, putting such a big score on the wave, that 917.
And this is what she backed it up with. This was her 5-point ride. She didn't waste too much time getting this as well. Just putting a second score up. And again, super composed on the nose. Nothing like the length of her first wave, but just making use of all of these scoring sections. She couldn't get much more done there, but already got a 5 for that nose work early on. And that is how you start a heat. It's interesting to see, we haven't had many other waves like that 9 throughout this heat. This is Justine. She rallied a bit early on. She's been pretty quiet in the back half of this heat. This was a 4-6-7. And from her point of view, this has been a relatively quiet heat, Wingnut.
Yeah, not what we were used to seeing from her. She's such a powerful, competitive surfer that I would have expected to see more waves, at least be attempted and aggressively gone after. And I think knowing she had to go for such a big number, she was trying to be selective and get one of the bomb waves where she could really showcase her power. And it just, none of those sets have really come through in the 20 minutes since, Chloe's first wave. We're down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in this, and it looks like Chloe Calmon is running away with the first semifinal of the day.
Well, let's pick up Justine Dupont up on the nose on a good-looking left, actually. She just slightly awkwardly deals as she reverses back there on the board and just pedals back towards the tail and doesn't get another section on the inside. It looked nice, it stood up pretty sweetly outside. She had a little taper and wall, some nice speed as well, but doesn't get a connect through the inside that she would have really needed to unlock some more scoring potential. 1:45 to go.
And the conditions here, they're tricky. They're changing rapidly even during the heat. So a wave that you think, was good, at the start of the heat, 30 minutes later, it's a very different ocean with a lot more water filling in the bay. So it's been hard to figure this out, except for Chloe seems to have gotten the message early on.
So the clock will just tick down here as Justine tries to make her way out the back. Let's see if Calmon will decide to make a move. She likes the look of this wave. It doesn't let her on. And meanwhile, is this going to be an opportunity? It is for Dupont, straight up to the nose. She had to take a risk there. She was a long way back on a steep section and just can't quite hold on to the balance.
Yeah, but I think it made sense to go because you're running out of time. You need to commit, and we know there's no lack of commitment in the surfing of Justine Dupont, but I think there's just not enough time.
It's going to come down to one wave for her now as we're under a minute, 50 seconds to go. Still needs a 9.5. She needs something really quite miraculous to turn this one around. Let's see how this one plays out and how Chloe herself will just control this one. No priority at the moment, but just 30 seconds remaining on the clock. It looks like we're going to have our first finalist, the Brazilian. We do have some bomb sets outside. Let's not count Justine Dupont out because we know about that relationship with the ocean in all kinds of conditions. She needs the biggest score of the week, though, down here, and priority is with Chloe. And she looks like she's going to use... Okay, so Justine goes. She had second priority. And Chloe looked like she could have used that then. And again, maybe nerves, maybe just being rattled, maybe the scoreboard pressure. Another mistake from Justine.
Yeah, and maybe Chloe was so far outside she wasn't able to hear that priority had finally been allotted to her, so she let Justine have that wave. But it looks like it's not going to be a penalty. And that's one of the things to remember. We've heard that from the competitors this week. They are extremely far away from where the speaker system is, and they might not hear priority being handed out.
There's also something kind of cool about seeing someone win not by blocking the other surfer as well. I mean, that's part of the game, but there's something just a little bit more kind of, I don't know, wholesome about just everyone surfing the waves that come to them, and let's see where the scores go.
And, you know, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that your skills can outweigh the other surfers. Like, go ahead, that's the best wave you can get. Let's see what you got. I think I can take you down. So, Devin, thank you so much for spending time in here talking through this with us. We'd like to have you back before the day's over.
Official results, Chloe Calmont, a massive total, 14.17, 9.17, a huge number for her. DuPont, never really at the races on that one, 7.9, pretty meager total. And unfortunately, from her point of view, she'll bow out a semi-final finish. That's equal third. That's the view of beautiful Pantin, Galicia Longboard Pro. Join us for more live action. Second semi-final coming after the break.
I just ran all the way from Bells Beach to tell you that the king is back. Draw him, grab my board. Surfers from Australia have banded together. I think surf booties are cool.
You are a certified badass.
What's up, Chris Cote here with some breaking news.
Literally.
Have you seen the clip? Boom!
Chris, can we get some more news, please?
Using plastic at our events has always been the norm. Recycling helps, but most plastic still ends up here, or worse, here. Plastic never goes away, because with plastic, there is no away. At the rate we're going, by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. It's a deep problem. But there are steps we can all take. By cutting out single-serve plastics at our events, we can start turning back the plastic tide. This is our commitment for a stronger ocean. What's yours?
Welcome back to final Saturday in Pantin, and our second semi-final of our women out in the water right now. Rachel Tilley from the USA taking on Honolulu Blomfield from Hawaii. So who will join Chloe Calmont in the final? Paul Evans in the booth alongside the Crown Prince of Pleasure Point.
Well said. Thank you so much.
Robert Wingnut Weaver.
It has been a long wait this morning to get started. You know, I think Devin made a really great call talking with the athletes. Let the water come back in. Let's get this cleaned up, and it's worked. And here we have Honolulu Blomfield with her first wave. I'm sorry, that's Rachel Tilley. Got that completely wrong. But at my age, sometimes you just can't see the colors anymore. So Rachel getting to the nose there a couple of times. Let's see how she handles the inside section. I like to see a nice complete ride, especially for a first one. I know that's going to make Rachel feel good. Look at that wave continue to set up on the inside. A little shimmy there. I like that little hip shake of Rachel's that she's got going. Comes out. It does not connect all the way. She's only about 6 feet away from the dry sand.
A real long wave from Rachel. I think that was 192 for her. So she went a long way. Distance travel. Certainly the better of that opening exchange. We've got a quick throwaway for Honolulu, just a flat one for her. Rachel will certainly be bettering that, and quite a lot happened on that wave there, Wingnut, section-wise.
And again, it's kind of reminiscent of Chloe's first wave as far as connecting across different sections and utilizing them well. It'll be good to see that again and really work through it.
The other cool thing about getting a long one at the start, obviously, aside from whatever points you get a read of what's actually happening in kind of real time on this back, because you kind of see a little bit of every section.
And here we go, especially when the paddle back out, you get to look at it again. So here she sets it up. Nice smooth turn, goes to the trim spot, gets a nice 5 there, goes back to the tail, and now she's reading the wave and realizing it's switching back, now going left, gets a nice nose ride, doesn't get stuck there. I thought that was going to stop her, and she's able to smoothly go through it, rebound off the whitewater there, and then completely redirects, and the wave reforms in front of her again. So a lot of opportunity for her to use her footwork, use her control, use the hippie shake, gets that nice, see how she carries a little bit of momentum forward with that, and then she's out. So a 5.33 for that, and I'm good with that score. You know, not a super steep critical nose ride in there, but a good way to get started.
Definitely a good number. It even would have gone in Chloe's top 2 as well. Her backup was just a flat 5, so pretty healthy number to open up with. But nevertheless, for Honolua, she doesn't need to be overly concerned with a score like that. Very much within her capability. Of course, a former world champion. We've got a lot of them down here. And here she goes in live action on a nice looking left-hander. Little glassy wall as she'll use the rail, the roundhouse back, and just banking off the whitewater gracefully. And she sets up from the midpoint of the board into a 5. A real steep section from her. She deals with that pretty well. Almost kind of ran out of room. Tried to get up the foam there and doesn't.
I mean, I like the line she drew into going into that whitewater, but she just got a little bit back on her heels, and that caught her because there's a lot of energy coming from that other right-hand peak into that section. But I like where she